everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're here at Lake Arthur at Moraine State Park. Gorgeous day. It's really hot out, so I'm trying to make this quick. So this is a little short tutorial on how I connect my 150 to 600 with the FTZ adapter to Nikon Z7 II onto a fluid head for video, for the most stable video you can get. So anybody that's ever tried this knows that the fluid head from Manfrotto comes with their own QR plate. It's not Arca Swiss compatible. It's really big, and most people have Arca Swiss lenses. Your lens foot's Arca Swiss, L brackets are Arca Swiss. So really, it kind of makes it a pain in the ass, to be honest. So we're going to go through real quick how I make it Arca Swiss compatible and easy to change lenses without having to screw the plate to your camera on and off 20 times a day. So this is the plate that comes with your fluid head from Manfrotto. You want 2 screws in the plate. First things first though, you want to start from the top and work your way to the bottom. It makes it easier. So if you want to use rails like I do, what you're going to have to do, small rig Arca clamp, 12-inch rods for your Arca support rods. You're going to need a lens support yoke. And then you're going to need the small rig rod clamp. Now, I'll put all the part names in the description down below because honestly I don't have it memorized offhand. Now, what you want to do is, I already have this part done. Always want 2 points of contact as many places as you can so you don't have any room for failure, your camera falling, or anything crazy like that. So this is the rod clamp, the back part, and this is the Arca clamp on top. So you want to put a screw down into the rod support, and then from the bottom side you want another screw going up into the rod support. So you got a screw here and a screw here holding your clamp on nice and sturdy, and it's not going to twist or move on you. It's not going anywhere. And then you're going to want your yoke on the front here, which is honestly pretty simple. You could really use any of them that you want as long as it fits your rod size. These are 15mm rods. So this is the height adjustment, and whatever height you want it to be, just lock it in there. And then this is your adjustment for going in and out. So once you got all this together and you have your rods set however you want them set, to connect it to the plate for the fluid head, you gotta take the plate off. And for me, it's kind of a pain because for whatever reason, I decided to use flathead screws. I'm going to change these out eventually, but you always want to look at the bottom of your plate. Mine says lens points this way. So you're going to screw these 2 screws into these 2 holes on the bottom of your support. And then honestly, for my personal preference, to make it easier to balance larger lenses on your fluid head, you want to push this to the far back as you can. Just make sure it don't fall out, and then use your screwdriver or Allen key to tighten them. Nice and tight, it's not going anywhere. Yeah, I'm not gonna move. And I forgot to mention it, but whenever you put your rods in, all you gotta do is loosen these wing nuts on the side, and you can just take them out, put them back in through the holes, then tighten them down wherever you want them to be. Okay, so that's your support. That's really about it to that. Put in there, clamp it down. Oh, I guess you gotta make sure it actually goes in there. There we go. Now we're nice and tight. That's what happens when you're in a rush, you make dumb mistakes. So then on the camera, you don't have to have the small rig cage to make this work. It just makes it easier for me. Plus you have other accessory ports, holes you can put everything on. You can put a handle on here. Doesn't block your battery access on the bottom, so you can still change your batteries. It gives you a little bit extra girth on the grip if you wanted that for the bigger hands. So anyways, onward to the next step. So if you didn't have the FTZ adapter here, I do have a longer plate to put on the bottom that I will eventually use whenever I get a different lens, like when Nikon comes out with their 200 to 600. So you can use 2 screws on this, and then it'll be like this. Make it nice and easy for you. But since the FTZ is there, when you go to disconnect your lens to change lenses, the longer L plate, the longer QR plate in the bottom, makes it harder to twist the FTZ off. If you want to put a Z mount lens on, so what I do is I use the Arca QR plate that I used on the lens foot years ago to keep it from twisting on my gimbal head. Now I took the anti-twist bumper off. It's gone now. All I do is I put it on the bottom. Just make sure you put it in the center hole so everything lines up nicely. Try to have it twisted so that it sticks the furthest forward. So if you have it like this, it'll kind of block the back screen. So have it like that. Now I know this might not work for everybody, but it works great for me. And honestly, that's all that matters. There's multiple ways to do this. And I don't use the lens foot. I can just use it for carrying it now. You can put a longer plate on top if you want. So if you wanted, you could put a longer plate on top, get yourself a better carry handle when you're moving around. Plus, you can put a microphone on the end of it to get away from the motor sounds if you're using an FTZ with an F-mount lens, so it's not as loud when you're focusing. But this is really all I do. So then open the clamp, set it down in there, and then you have to adjust this, slide it back. And on the 150-600, you have the lock button here on this little grippy bit that doesn't rotate. So I always put the lens support yoke right there. Then once you get in there, just close the clamp, and now you're good to go. So whenever you zoom, because it's an external zoom, it makes it kind of tough on the fluid heads, because it'll be perfectly balanced like this, and then you'll zoom out to 600. And then sometimes it'll slowly go down. No matter what you do, it'll do that. So it's kind of a pain, but 99% of the time when you're shooting video, you're always holding on to the handle, using a monitor, using the back screen popped out. So it's really not a huge deal breaker. So then you can just adjust this, mess with your tension on the top and bottom. And now you're ready to go to shoot video, action, whatever you want. I've used this many times. It works great. It's very sturdy. It holds itself on there pretty well. Picking up the tripod with the camera. So really that's really the nuts and bolts of it. Like I said, I have all the part numbers and links in the description if you want to try it out, if you want to do it yourself. And then whenever you go to change lenses real quick, say you don't want to do this anymore, just drop your support down all the way, disconnect the camera, make sure your camera is off, go to change your lens real quick, put the kit lens 24 to 70 on here, then line it up, slap it on there as it wants to fight me, then put it back on there. Now if you are using a lens like this and you don't want to use the lens support on there, what you can do before you put your camera back on, just slide it off the end. You can put it on upside down, get out of your way. That way you don't lose it, you don't have to keep taking it on and off all the time. Put the camera down in there, clamp it on, good to go on this too. Before, with all this stuff, without the small rig Arca clamp, you'd have to sit here and unscrew things, screw things back together, and it's so much better not having to do that. Unless you want to invest in a whole bunch of QR plates from Manfrotto, but if you already have a bunch of Arca, this is the way to go, to be honest. It's the best investment you can do. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them down below. And honestly, hopefully this was helpful for you. Give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all the good jazz. And happy shooting out there. See ya.